We'll stall a few more minutes for Stavro, unless he's here and I've missed him.
It's okay. We can start with Leo, lore-wise, and
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
I know Constantinos was here. I knew there was some level of we're going to stop. We're not going to allow that to happen.
We have,
I have prepared poetry about Conquest, and
Oh wait, this changes things. This I want to hear.
I have 2 novels and an interpretive choreography prepared for everybody.
The last
Oh, I
one as
like
well,
that.
not the novels. Bye.
I'm just saying, the April Fool's happy hour needs to be Leo doing lore, Stavro doing rules, and entirely about the 100 Kingdoms monster. That's it. It's just that.
Oh, Hunter, you little pot stirrer, you. I love that. Well, we are really glad that everyone has joined so far, and I know that if gamers continue to be gamers, most people will show up 5 to 10 minutes late, and they will miss some of the meeting, and then they will go back and say, "What did I miss?" Or "I didn't know that." And so, but that's part of the deal, right? We love that, and so we will start up. I will start out without Stavro as well. It has to be all about the fish gnomes. Fish gnomes would be a good April Fool's scenario for sure. Yes, indeed. Well, this is a big happy hour for us. This is a big welcome to the new year. It is our 5th anniversary for 2024, and we're so thrilled that so many people want to party with us for 2024. I think it's fair to say that all of us are like, wow, 5 years. We made it this far. I have the same amount of hair on my head that I had when I joined the team. I'm not sure the same can be true for Stavro or Konstantinos. However, they may have lost a little bit along the way. Maria, I know, has given up a few hairs along the way.
It's green now.
It's green now. That's right. But we are really excited to talk about a number of things today. We're going to obviously go into some of the road to Chios. I think if you're not aware, it is published on our website how one starts the road to Chios, and Leo's going to take us through that. And we're going to unveil our Sorcerer Kings. It is the, where we start talking about Harry Potter as he ascends the throne like King Charles just did. And we're super excited to bring to you this novel story.
Daryl, this is my lord. Stop sharing with the Harry Potter stuff I write for the game.
But that is the Sorcerer King, right? That's who we're talking about. And Queen Hermione, right?
Daryl, I told you that this is my personal stash of lore. I told you not to share with other people. But no.
Oh God, I walk in just as Leandro is defiling my creation.
Well, yeah, we're talking about the Sorcerer King and Harry Potter.
They were talking about Harry Potter, Stavro. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer Kings. This is what you missed.
Yeah, I think it's the 3rd book, right?
Why you do this to me?
It's right at the point where he says you're a Sorcerer King, Harry, and then they go off. They could go off fighting in the world of Conquest.
Isn't that what we planned for today? Wait, hold on, let me look at my notes. I think. Oh, wait. That's it. Oh, I see. Okay, well, you know what? Why don't we start with the road to Chios, and we'll see if we can pull this together and figure out what we're going to talk about for the Sorcerer Kings after all. But as everyone's aware, I hope anyways, if you've joined this or you've been sleeping, maybe you might not be if you joined late, but 4 days ago, we announced the road to Chios, and we're very excited. This is the beach. Not the beach, but one of the beaches from Chios behind me. We're super excited to invite 16 people to come and play on a beach, some Conquest, and to eat some delicious Greek food. And how we get there and how you get there, well, we know how we're going to get there, but how you get there is laid out on our website. And Leo's going to take us through some of the finer points, and then we really want your questions and your thoughts, because I have already talked to quite a few people over the last couple of days who have been like, wait, that's how that works? And so I think because we are doing it somewhat differently than, say, other world championships have been done, we are truly trying to make this a world event. So, Leo, I'll shut up for a moment and let you do the talking.
So thank you, I mean, first of all, just to say how just amazed we all are. We are at the point, 5 years after releasing the game, that we're at a point that we're talking about world championships for Conquest, and right, and that being in reality. So that alone is just absolutely just mind blowing. So I will say a few things about the world tour. Now, this is a complicated, not a complicated, but there's a lot of moving parts, and so the full details of the program you can find on our website. I'm going to go through a brief, let's say, recap of the whole program, and there might be details that we can get into, later, or of course, if you find yourself having any questions, our emails are rules at Parabellum Community Vanguard. They're all there to help you out with questions like this. So, what is the World Tour? It is our take on competitive play, on organized competitive play for Conquest. A big part of our organized play was to come together as a community, and we wanted to provide an opportunity for people that really like to really challenge themselves and play against the best players in the world out there, to get an opportunity to gather around in Chios, in the beautiful island of Chios, and meet us in person and play this great, fantastic world tour tournament of Conquest: The Last Argument of Kings. So for this season 3, the world tour will revolve around Conquest: The Last Argument of Kings. But rest assured, coming season 4, we're also going to be having First Blood into the mix. We're working hard, of making sure that this is respected and balanced org. So, how do you qualify? In order to qualify, you will be able to play in what we call world events. Now, world events come in 2 types, and both award world points. One is world community events. These are extremely important, as they're driven by the enthusiasm of the local community leaders, and essentially are the ones that shape up how many invitations are going to be out there. The community gets to host them. Your local vanguards, your local store owners, club managers, and so on will be the ones running it. Then, of course, we have the officially sanctioned world events. We have things like London GT, Adepticon, and so on. Right, big events where we are directly involved in the planning, or we are directly partnering up with somebody locally. So now, every season, you're going to be asked to go and play at these world events, right? Your local community is going to be hosting a number of world community events, and by playing these, you will be gaining world points. World points, very simply, they are provided for the following. They're provided based on placement. If you win first, as let's say, opposed to coming in 4th or 5th, you get a participation bonus. So the more people at an event, you will be getting more points. And there is an additional bonus for officially sanctioned world events. Now, what if there is no world officially sanctioned event near you? And this is a big conversation, and that will take a little bit of understanding of how the seats are allocated and how invitations are given out. So the world is divided right now into 12 regions. You can find the exact regions of what they entail on our website. And each season, people from all of these regions are going to be hosting community events. As said before, community events are the events that are hosted by your vanguards, your local community leaders. Then, at the end of the season is going to be August 4th, so that is the last day of. We're going to tally the total amount of local community events that have been run across the world, and we're going to compare how many of those each region has done. So let's say if Region A and Region B, they both did, let's say, 100 out of 1,000, that means they've done 10% of the world community events, and therefore they will be allocated 10% of the seats available at the Conquest tournament in Chios. For this season, we're going to have 16 seats. That is 16 people that are going to be invited and will join us to play. So if, for example, you were to, if your region was to receive 10% of the votes, that would be 1.6. We would round it up to the closest whole number. Your region would be getting 2 invites. Now, players from that region, from that specific region, right, from the region that it gets invitations, will have will check the players, in that region that have the most world points for that region. So, for example, if region A has done, let's say, has, let's say, 2 invitations, and they're going to go in and they're going to check their 2 top players, and they're going to be the ones that are going to be allocated the invites. Players, let's say the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and so on, are going to be runner-ups. It doesn't matter if the 3rd, 4th, or 5th from that region has gained more points than players from other regions. They still are only allowed to gain the 2 invitations that their region is at. I have a few, we've put
So,
very...
Leo, I'm going to stop you there for 1 second because I think it's super important. This is what has been asked of me already so much. You only compete within your region for that invitation.
Thank you, Darryl. Yeah.
So, yeah, don't panic if you can't go to Adepticon. Because probably most people from Indonesia can't go to Adepticon either. And it won't count against you.
Exactly. That's incredibly important, is to understand that you are competing against players from your own region that have the same access to these events as you, right? So it doesn't matter if, let's say, if your region did 10% of the events, and it doesn't matter, as long as there could be 12 people events, and that still is the same as the region that did 10% of all community events, and they had 30 plus people participating in each. Of course, the other region is going to have, the players there are going to have more world points, but that is for them internally to compete, and that is something that does not affect you coming from a different region. This is incredibly important, as we want to make sure that this is a truly world community event, and people that and regions with access to officially sanctioned events don't have an unfair advantage. Now, of course, we're going to
let's stop there for 1 second, Leo, too. That doesn't mean that you can't go and play at OSWEs. And that will improve your world totals, correct?
That is correct, yes. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, this is now, so the next part is going back to what Darryl just said, is a little bit, how do we determine where a community event belongs to? And, what region do you belong to? So as we said, regions get invitations based on the community events. That is, if a community event is, when applying for it, is to be hosted within that region, it counts towards that region. Officially sanctioned events do not count towards any region. And that means that you can fly across the world if you like. You can visit us at Adepticon, you can visit us along GT or other officially sanctioned events. And they do not... and you can still get points, right, without being affected without essentially, losing any points, as opposed to players that have more access to world events. Finally, the majority of the community events that you participate in determine in which region to. So let's say if I play the majority of my local community events in region A, this is the region within which I am going to be competing. This is incredibly important, and we've made sure to do it this way, so to ensure that people that do participate in a specific community, they have to compete for seats in that community. Now, the only the final thing that it's very important to know is that for this season, and we'll see for the next ones as well, for 2024, one seat is going to be reserved as a wild card, and that is to be allocated to a region on Parabellum's discretion, and that is regardless of the number of world community events, right?
Yeah. So to summarize a little bit, the way I understood it, without Leo's very structured brain, is we are creating a system that encourages you to have local games of 12 or more within your community. The more of these games that you have, the greater your chances in your region, the greater your chances of A, your region getting a seat, and B, you being part of this seat. You being one of the people who is in this seat. Winning is awarded, participating is awarded according to the number of players in it. And lastly, if you are a intense fan and want to maximize your chances, what you can do is you can travel to the very big events, even if they are outside of your region, because the very big officially sanctioned events will give you points regardless of where you are. Right, Leo? That sums it up.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely the people that are willing, the people that are, when you are competing with players from your own region, of course, you have the same opportunities and you have access to the same kind of events. Now, of course, if you want to put yourself out there and travel abroad, this is up to you. So now, three more things that are very important. One question that I get here: is there a number of events for a region to be rounded up to one representative? As we said, this has to do with whether essentially the total amount of community events that are being hosted overall, and how that percentage, shaped up. Now, you can play it in however many world events as you like, in however many community events, and however many officially sanctioned events. However, at the end of the season, your best 4 world community event performances are going to count towards your season total, and your best 3 officially sanctioned events. Now, what that means, and that's very important. By best performance, we let's say we define the events where the player earned the most world points, not necessarily the placement. So, for example, if I go in a tournament and I play second in a 12-player event, right, I will get 13 world points. And we have exact examples of how this is calculated. Now, then I went to another nearby community and I placed 4th in a tournament, let's say, with 48 players, and that gave me 45 world points. It doesn't matter that I placed 4th in the second tournament, because I received more world points. That performance is counted as best, and therefore this counts towards the total of 4 community events that will go to my seasonal total. And this is the ranking in which I will be invited or not invited to the world.
So again, to hammer a point home, you notice that this very strongly rewards the number of players more so than it rewards your placement. And second of all, if you're thinking, wait, but my region is small, it doesn't have that many players, we can barely scrape together 12 guys. We might be able to play frequently, but we'll only be 12. Don't worry, because you're only competing within your region. So long as you host many events, your region will have a seat, and you'll be competing within your regional area for that seat with the number, with with points that are earned in that area. Unless some of you choose to travel, in which case it will be rewarded by, attending the large events that will have big populations. We consider this enough of an outlier, but also we want to give people who are very passionate a chance to truly do this. Another point I want to bring up is that while right now the seats are limited to 16, this will grow as we become more comfortable, because let's be honest, Chios, while beautiful, is a little bit out of the way, and we would rather have successful events than big events. If people have attended the tournaments, they will understand exactly what I mean. So we're going to start small and grow rapidly from there. So don't worry, the number of people available at Worlds will grow. And as Leo said, there will also be a First Blood, which, no, we'll discuss the First Blood news right after the Worlds.
Yeah, let's stay on Worlds.
Yep.
So yeah, like we said, the first balancing factor here is that you're competing within your region, and that means that seats are allocated to each region, and therefore it doesn't matter what your personal total is, as long as you host enough world community events in your region to be able to be allocated seats. And
I
the
think
next,
I'm going to stop you there, Leo, because I think that's super important for everyone. Everyone's like, well, how do I round up and how do I make sure there's one? Have events, right? There's nothing more important than you can be doing than to just play Conquest. That's all we're asking you to do. It's not more complicated than that. Play Conquest with 12 people and register the event. The more you do that, the more seats you're going to have. I don't care where you're located in the world, you can have events like that.
yeah, absolutely. And then, like we said, by taking your four best performances, we're also ironing out, the reality that even within one region, certain parts of the region may have, let's say, communities that meet up more often. So, something, it's your best four performances that count. If you meet in four world communities, world community events in that season, in your specific subset of a region, you're not, let's say, having a particular disadvantage against other players in that regard from the same region, right? So have events. By having more events, you're not just helping yourself get more points, you're helping your entire community, your region, to be allocated seats, right?
And think about it this way too, the more of those events you hold, let's say you hold one a month and you do 12, only your four best are counting. But think about how much better your four are going to be because you played 12 times.
Oh yeah, that's great actually, because I mean, one big part is that within a season you don't just grow as you grow as a player. If you keep trying to become, play at different competitive events and you want to become a better player, you're going to find a big difference with how you play at the beginning of the season versus at the very end. And so we want to make sure that this is reflected, your growth and your journey in Conquest is reflected throughout the season. Now, this all comes down to, of course, our app, our Conquest companion app, which must 100% be used in order for you to run events and for you to register for events. How we do this, essentially, every Vanguard and/or community person of interest, FLGS owner, club owner, will have access to a privileged account. Now, Vanguards have it already. If you are an FLGS owner, a club owner, and you want to be hosting world events, you can reach out to a community team and we can make sure that your Living World account has access to the feature. Now, this must be done through the app, and the tournament must be run through the app. Essentially, you will be submitting an event application. You will have to put your full name, the contact email, date of the event, and so on, location, and expected number of players. You must be able to have at least 12 players for the event to be considered a world event. That is correct for both world community events and officially sanctioned events. And once we go through the application and confirm it, you will receive a special organized play kit code that the minute you are there to run the event, you will input it. You will start registering players, and if 12 or more players are registered, you're good to go as a world event. If you cannot make it to 12 players for whatever reason, we're humans, we understand the realities, of getting sick or something happening. You can still run the event as a casual event. It will not have its world event status. Of course, you can let us know. We can make sure that we reschedule it and help you reschedule a world event again as soon as possible, right? We understand that sometimes it can be unfortunate, but somebody might be late or get sick. That's absolutely understandable. But we have to make sure that 12 players are there to ensure fairness amongst the different communities. Last but not least, of course, is our event organizers and judges. Now, as these are competitive,
Well, Leo, I want to, before we go to that, a good question. Does a qualifying event, I know the answer to this, but I want you to say it, have to have a certain amount of rounds played to qualify?
So, you need to play the full event. And that means that when you're running a 12-player tournament, that means 4 rounds. You have to play the entirety, the full length of the tournament for it to be a world event. I repeat that this is for world events. Casual events are there to cater to your community. You're there to go in and have fun, and of course, it's always about fun. But when it comes to world events, we have to make sure, we have to respect the fact that there's people from all across the world that are competing, and in order to ensure fairness, we have to make sure that these rules are abided by. So we have to play the entirety of the event. So that is a minimum of 4 rounds. Now, finally, we just want to acknowledge and give a huge shout out to the event organizers and essentially the people that are going to be judging these events. And we have to, of course, make sure that, they are not left out. So the person that is organizing the event, he will run and judge the event. So if you're a Vanguard and you are submitting let's say you're submitting a world event application, know that you will be asked to judge the event. Also, the judge will not be allowed to participate as a player. Again, we have to make sure that there are no conflicts of interest within the tournament, let's say, because imagine, even you being the judge and you're playing against another player, you don't want to have to be leaving the table every 10 minutes to answer, let's say, a rules call or anything like this. We have to make sure that we're consistent. We have to make sure that we're these events run as smooth as possible. Of course, we want to make sure that judges are rewarded for doing this. Now, and this is important, when you organize an event, you will be scoring as the judge the same amount of world points as the 4th player. That still counts towards your best 4 total, as if you've played the event and you came up 4th. But you gain an amount of points as the 4th place. Now, the bigger the events you run, the more points that are allocated to the 4th person, and the more points that are allocated to you. At the end of each season, we have a few more incentives, and you can go through it specifically in the incentives for organizing and judging an event part of our site. But that is very important for judges to know, that you're not penalized, you're not excluded from the process when you're hosting events. And of course, we are encouraging you to work with other communities and change up, of course, who's going to be the judge. But you're not going to be left behind. You will be. You're not going to be lost in the process. Now, finally, there are, of course, official rulings and resources that you are invited for, all that are there for all of you. You'll notice, for those that haven't noticed already, that when you go into our rules and FAQ section of our website, and you go under FAQ and errata, you now get a live page where FAQs, rulings, and designer notes are there. Rulings essentially are, let's say, rules that people have asked for them often, and we want to make sure that we include them in the book. And there are these finer points that may not be covered fully, and so we have an official ruling there until the next update, which is also very soon. Will I get points for LVO even though I'm not technically a judge? So you have to gain world points for an event. You have to participate as a player, or you have to be a judge. Now, for officially sanctioned events, judging is a little different, because it's either a Parabellum staff or we choose people specifically. This is an entire process entirely. So, Daryl, do you mind if I go through some questions that people are asking?
No, go ahead. I was going to bring them up to you, but if you're reading along, please do.
Yeah. So when you update the ruling FAQ, can you date when something was added? Absolutely. Every time I add something, you're going to notice that there is a date right on the site there, so you know when the latest version comes up.
I do want to make that point, Leo. As much as we have really tried to think of what we think is everything as of this moment in time, there will be some things that come up that in future moments of time we will realize need to be added or subtracted from what you see there. And I want it well understood verbally. It is written this way too. When we make changes, do not complain, because there will have to be some. We're doing this for the first time, and we're doing this differently than most people do it. We didn't just rip a page out of somebody else's handbook of how to run a world championship. And with that comes risk and opportunity. We want to make this amazing. So we do want everyone to understand it's possible we'll make some changes. Maybe we won't. But if we do, understand that we're doing it for the benefit of everyone involved. Please.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very it's a complicated program in the sense that there's a lot of moving parts, and so we have to make sure that we give you the best experience that we can. So can multiple vanguards run as a judge and still get the points? So only the event organizer and essentially would be the judge, or in the case that you feel that you need more judges, is the head judge. But only one individual has the official capacity as a judge, and only one person is credited the points for the event. Now, what we suggest, for example, is that to come together with other communities and run events collaboratively. And what that means is that one time you can be the judge and other people will be playing, or another time you can be playing, right, and someone else could be the judge. But what's important to know is that one individual gets the credit for being the event organizer and judge for that. Let's see more questions. Let me see.
Terrain is a good question about that.
I'm trying to find.
Terrain just came up as the most recent. So will there be an official terrain rule pack for the whole world for competitive play? It's a really good question, and we do have some terrain coming up, but it's probably a good idea to address terrain head on here.
Yes. So the answer is absolutely yes. So actually, there is a number of different resources that are coming out. First of all, there is a separate resource that talks about judging, what it means to judge, and how we approach judging for Conquest tournaments. So it's not just about, so we're going to have a resource that helps you understand how to approach rulings, what kind of questions are there, reiterating, let's say, our tournament rules, helping you get your bearings if you haven't judged an event before. We think that if you want to get into event organizing, there should be nothing stopping you, and therefore this complete guide will be there for you. Now, of course, official terrain rule pack is very important, and this is also going to become part of the scenario pack. So you'll also be getting, let's say, sample setups. Is there a possibility for judge players to prohibit it? No, unfortunately, a judge cannot play. So a world community event will, at the very minimum, will have to be the event organizer and judge and 12 other players.
That's very, very important.
Yeah.
One judge.
So yeah, other than that, I do invite and encourage everybody to go through the entirety of the document. There's a lot of information there, and we give a lot of examples. We go through everything in great detail. You're going to be able to find there examples of how points are scored, exactly how they're stored. You will be able to also find your points through the app and your dashboard. You will be able to see your best 4 performances for community events, your best 3 for officially sanctioned events, as well as a history of how you performed in all other events. Could one end up being registered in different?
I was going to say that was on my list, Leo, to talk about how does one determine what region they're in. Perfect. I know we've talked about this a lot. It's a good one to bring up and get into some detail on.
Like I said, a player belongs to the region in which they play the most world community events. Officially sanctioned events do not count towards determining your region, right? So if, let's say, if you play in more community events in another region than the one you're in, well, it means that the most games you're playing them against you're playing them against those players, and therefore you will count towards that region. How will drops be handled?
So before we go on to the next question, that's also a really good question, but I think I want to just reinforce for everyone, I'm in Boston, not in Chios, despite the picture background. But if I decide that I want to play all of my events in London and build up my frequent flyer miles, you get determined by where you play, not by where you live. So I want that to be really, really clear for everyone. Decide where you're going to play the majority of your events. It doesn't mean that you can't play somewhere else. And of course, the OSWEs don't count towards the region. But if you happen to live on the border of a region, particularly in the U.S. with states, some people live close to a border and it happens to cross over into another border, you got to pick. and you're going to be your 4 best from that region. So wherever you sit your butt down to play, that's your region.
Yeah, that's. And the other thing is that, if you are a very good player moving to another region, well, and you're playing most of your events in another region, well, you're actually helping that region play more, and you're adding more players to the other region. So either way, we want to make sure that where you are present benefits from your presence. So how will drops be handled? Say 14 people, 1 drop. Okay, so if we're talking about drops that keep the tournament within the 12-player minimum, then our usual tournament rules apply, right? So we have the rules there, and we explain exactly what it happens with an odd number of players. And it's under community on our website. You can go to tournament side of the website. Now, if there's let's say a drop, and that brings the tournament to a less than 12 players, and that's very important. We understand it can happen, so a minimum of 12 players must be there on round 1 and start playing the game. Now, of course, from there on, it is very reasonable that something might happen, or a player might even get disqualified. You never know what happens, right? At that point on, the tournament will go on with less players, but it's important for 12 people to be there. If 12 people are not going to be there, it's important to know that if a player is dropped through the app, this is data and information that we make sure, we will reach out to the event organizer after that. We're going to make sure, we see what happens and how we can assist in avoiding that happening again. But we are very strict in, let's say, phantom attendance, where an account comes in for 1 round and suddenly disappears. So this is something that we're looking at. And to make sure that we have this under, we can monitor this, everybody needs to come in with a Living World account and logged in to their Living World account through the app. So if you want to register, if you want to, play the tournament, you need to have a Living World account. Even better, have it on the app, and the event organizer can scan you in a lot easier. Is there a penalty guide? Is there a penalty guideline to TOs? Actually, yes. So part of the judging, part of the judging resource that I mentioned breaks down the different kinds of rules questions into types, explain what are the common pitfalls and what are the usual ways in which for you to approach them. And there are, let's say, things that, of course, we've learned from our own experiences, right? And there are, let's say, golden rules in how to approach certain thing in competitive gaming, and in a way that, of course, it is extremely, it is fair and extremely, consistent. You can also find some of this information on our tournament page, although the additional resources that will be coming out soon will be much more complete. So can I play 4 in each region and double my chances? Now, here's the thing: if you play the exact same amount in every region, you have to play the majority of your community event somewhere. And here's the thing: you will never be running for seats in more than 1 region. So make sure you keep that in mind. You will not be able to play to do like let's say these balancing acts.
Not to mention that if you really want to travel to 12 regions around the globe, you could just go to Chios.
All right, let's come and see it. That's your point. Like, I'll sit and play a game with you. That's okay. And we'll sit
right.
together.
Just come to Athens. We'll play with you if you want to go that crazy. Like, traveling to 12 regions truly isn't necessary.
So can you clarify about the number of rounds for an event to be considered 12-man tournaments or 3 rounds?
I think I answered that one for you, Leo.
Yeah, it's typical Swiss, so that will be 4.
People are asking, can they just show up to Chios on the tournament day and hang out? And as much as we would love that, and of course, I mean, we can't stop anyone from coming to the island. There's no gates that comes down. We haven't built a trebuchet to throw you off of it yet. So, I mean, technically, sure, but, understand that we're making plans around a number of people. So if it's, something that we can certainly have one-off discussions, but I can't encourage it as much as we would love to have everybody there. Believe me, we are grateful. It is an island. I mean, there's only the ability to get there.
And it's actually a very remote part of a very non-touristy, cranky island. So it's not like, oh, we're going to Mykonos and there's facilities everywhere and everything's. It's out there. We basically selected because that's where I'm from and where Conquest was born, really, in my idle summer musings from very, very young. But it is not the easiest place in the world. It's beautiful beyond description, but it's not the easiest place in the world. If this is something that appeals, as Daryl said, we'll try to accommodate, but like we can't consider you for the accommodation or for the food. You'll have to find solutions on your own. We'll try to guide, but like truly, it's going to be a best effort basis. And if too many of you guys reach out for this, we might at some point tell you, sorry guys, the region can't host that many.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small inn, right? Let's not get carried away.
Yeah.
So to answer a few more questions, because before coming to you, Thomas. So if I play 0 community events but win 3 sanctioned events, well, if neutral was a region, I guess you would have managed to get it, but unfortunately, you need the majority event in some region. If the odd number of players in events would score world points based off the rules in the tourney pack or odd player out. So everything would be run through the app. Let's say tiebreakers would be calculated through the app, and what is the final, let's say, ranking that the app gives you is the is essentially your place for that tournament, and therefore the points you'll be getting. Let me see.
Let's go to Thomas. His future's so bright he has to wear shades. Oh, you're muted, buddy.
The shades are actually for to prevent eye damage from glare. That's why I always wear them.
Oh, that's okay. I'm just kidding.
But, and Stavros, I may have actually misheard you, but you were talking about when you came up with Conquest, and I'll understand if this may be something no keep to yourself, but what actually was happening when you came up with it out of curiosity?
Basically, I'm sitting on the porch on the veranda of Chios, which is Ambelos specifically, which is a place in the north, and I have an active imagination, and I like reading, and so I'd be reading, and I'd be thinking, and I'd have my brother looking at me, going like, "Man, I see you don't enjoy what we do, so why don't you just do something that you enjoy?" And all of these things together led to Conquest, really.
Thanks for answering.
Leo, take a look at Ben's question, Ben Rizlov's question about playing 2 regions, 3 events in one, 2 events in the other. How do we count the best 4? Just to make sure that we go through it one more time so that people aren't confused about how we count it.
So here's the thing. Essentially, what Ben is asking here is you play 3 events in Region A, but you only play 2 events in Region B, placing first each time. And okay, so what you're saying essentially is that you played 5 times, 3 of which is in A, 2 of which is in B. However, even though the majority of the events you played is a Region A, you essentially get some of the points for events you won in Region B. Yes, your seat will still be competing in Region A. And here's the thing. In the regions that you can very easily have access to, because of for whatever other reason that is, be aware that the reality says that people from not only your own region, but people from the regions that are right next to you, and this is usually for the US, where this is quite likely to happen, people in these 4 regions also have easy access to the officially sanctioned events. So this is not going to be, this is theoretically what you're saying is correct, but the reality of the situation and the reason why we were very careful in the ways in which we split the regions in that way geographically is that, yeah, technically you could be driving from one state to the other and do that, let's say, but the reality is that the people there, you're going to be seeing them in the same officially sanctioned events that you're going to. And so, this is theoretically true, but practically will not really propel you much in terms of points.
Yeah, and let's be really clear about this too. This again, play, have fun. We're taking your best 4, but don't try to convolute and make things too crazy either, right?
Yeah. So to answer Zed's Worm's question about if you start with 12 players, then that means that 12 players are going into round one and they're playing round one, but for some reason during round two and on, somebody drops. That event is still a world event, but we urge all event organizers to be very mindful of people that are only showing up for the first round to make up let's say the count, and then they are dropping later on. So, and this is something that we're going to be paying extremely close attention to. But yes, if 12 players start for round one, and at the end of round one, for whatever reason somebody drops, you are going to follow the usual rules for somebody dropping, and that person will be placed accordingly. We urge again judges to be mindful.
So I'm gonna. Oh, go ahead, Sabra. I just want to, because we are now 45 minutes in, and we're still on questions, which is great. But we do want to make sure that we get to showing people new stuff too. And I know some people are very impatient about that, and I'm totally excited about it.
So the last bit, which actually came up relatively early on during the Old Dominion release, when we changed the rules of the caryatids. If you have an incentive to game the system for your personal game, we as Parabellum have an incentive to change it so that that is no longer viable. This applies to our rules, and it will apply to how we organize worlds. So this is what Daryl was saying very gently, don't go crazy, is if we see somebody gaming the system, we'll adapt. We're a small team, the data is centralized, we'll adapt.
Yep.
So please don't do that.
Yeah.
Truly go out there and play. This is exactly why we created a system that isn't about winning as much as it is about participating. Okay? So that's basically all I have to say.
Yeah, I'm going to just finish this with, hey, guys, let's remember, number one, it's supposed to be fun, right? This is fun. We are still a beer and pretzels game at our heart, and that is the goal. Having an official tournament is also supposed to be fun because we want to bring people to Greece. We're a Greek company. It's supposed to be, I'm going to say it again, fun, F-U-N. Don't make it not fun for us or for your friends. At the end of the day, that's what this is all about. So be true to each other. Hold each other accountable for showing up to the events because that's part of the deal, right? If you have people that you need an alarm set because they might not come and they might not hit 12, don't call us to say we didn't hit 12 because so-and-so didn't show up. Call him or so-and-so. We don't want to hear about it. You got to have 12. You can hold your friends accountable. That's the way it works. Use the app. Love the app. Apply for your events 3 weeks in advance. Don't say on Tuesday, we're having an event on Saturday. We want to make it a world event because guess what? It won't be. That's going to be the rule. That's the deal. 3 weeks in advance. We'll play with it for the next 2 weeks. But after that, you all know that if you're February 5th on out, you better have applied for your event right now. And then last, I want to really make a point that everyone's coming from different regions. That's the goal of this. Everyone comes to Chios with 0 world points, really. Like you start playing that tournament all equals. I don't care how much you've played or how much you haven't played or who you've played against. Everybody's starting over and it's supposed to be, and I promise you it will be fun more than anything. While this is a competitive world event, we are not a competitive game and we want it to be fun. So I may have said the word fun a few times, but if anyone loses track of the word fun, I promise you I will be bringing it up again and again because what is it supposed to be, everyone? Oh, come on. Thank you. Fun. All right.
Fun.
So speaking of fun, let's go show some pretty pictures because I think everyone is ready for some pretty pictures. Am I right?
Hell yeah.
There we go. All right. So pretty pictures are fun. You are right about that. And, we're going to take you through what's coming up between now and May. Now, there will be a few things that we don't have yet to show you for some reasons, right? Some of them because we're not ready. Some of them because we still want to have some things to surprise you with. But we're very, very excited about our 5th anniversary. I'll say it this way. I think we came out guns a-blazing for this year with what we've put together. And some of it you guys have seen already. The A-Bomb, in case you missed it, this is the Artisan Series A-Bomb. It's coming in January. I know we talked about it the last happy hour, so I won't spend a lot of time on it. But not everyone can hit every happy hour, so I don't want to lose track of this. To me, this is super important. Your City-States Companion Cavalry with the Ipercos. I always tease Stavro about how many dudes on horses are we going to have? And he always comes up with a more beautiful and artistic way to create dudes on horses that look better and better every damn time. Speaking of Order of the Sealed Temple, I mean, like, holy mackerel. How do you keep doing this? It's really impressive. And I don't think you can see the close-ups on this one, but the masks are amazing. And you're going to have a ball painting those, I promise. And Leo, Stavro, jump in if I'm going too fast on any highlights around these guys. But I know we talked about them last time, so I think this is what everybody wants to get to.
Yeah, I think this is the bit that immediately the little bonk.
Are there any questions from before? No? Okay, good. I'll keep going. Just thought I would check in. The Sorcerer Kings. So no, not Harry Potter ascending the throne. There is no Hermione here, but nothing but absolutely stunning models around our 8th faction. And, I'll let Leo and Stavro talk more about how they play while you guys just take in the beauty of these initial characters.
I'll let Leo lead, and I'll just jump in from time to time.
Leo's going to tell all about the lore, just so you're aware.
Oh, yeah.
No.
So
I have his mute button right here.
So a ton of exciting things, and the Sorcerer King rules are not just coming on their own. They are coming in with an overall update for Telia UK and other factions. Of course, we're going to right now only talk about Sorcerer Kings, but there are certain systemic changes to the Telia UK core rules, and that creates a new, let's say, environment for factions into the game. And this newly founded design space is something that we wanted to fully take advantage with the Sorcerer Kings. So the Sorcerer Kings, as you would expect, a magic wielding faction, bring a brand new spellcasting mechanic into the game. It's called rituals. Rituals are, let's say, mighty spells that are not just manifesting at the time of casting them. Instead, they are represented with a command card that you put elemental power tokens upon. As time passes by, and think of, let's say, drawing the command cards of your army as a sort of timekeeping device, they charge up, and eventually they reach their threshold. Once they reach the threshold, these command cards now are left to the side, and the next round, when you're making your command stand, you're putting them in. So essentially, they are powerful magics that are activated by drawing a command card, which is a quite new and very interesting way to play with your command stack, without giving you both the tactical flexibility of, let's say, taking a false activation, right? That tactical benefit that you get when you are playing something and your opponent is not, but at the same time, weaving that with a powerful effect. Of course, as you might have seen from some of the things we saw the previous times, the elements are quite strongly represented here, specifically air and fire. And you're going to notice a very strong theme across the Sorcerer Kings for now, that you'll notice that all of their spells, all of their incantations, all of their rituals belong to either one of these elements. And these elements have a big impact now in your list building. So let's say, in comparison to other armies that may have a little bit more rigid army list building, there are, let's say, troops, such as the Efreet or the Jinn, the Efreet belonging to the element of fire and the Jinn belonging to the element of air, that become mainstay to that character depending on let's say, whether they've chosen spells and rituals from the court of fire or from the court of air. So this is a very thematic way, to build your warbands. And of course, this would not be this faction, I think, will not be complete if not without delving deep into these vibrant and rich Eastern mythologies that you'll find, all of these beasts and monsters of legend really, having the rules taken and reflected on that. So we're just extremely excited, and I kind of wait for Daryl to show more so we can see.
Are we ready for more? I was doing the zoom ins on these two.
Okay, you see me here? Oh, you are showing. So this is the sorcerer. The sorcerer is the character that focuses. For Interior K. It focuses more on the synergy between the courts of fire or the fire and air, depending on which one you've selected, and those mighty creatures belonging to that element. So it's all about reaching those far corners of the battlefield using let's say, regiments of the same element as conduits. For First Blood, we've went with with a different approach based on the same thing of playing with the elements. And we've shown we've shown the golds, which are these creatures found in the very Stavro, don't murder me if I say it wrong, but found, let's say, commonly within the surface, let's say, of the elemental realms. And they're able to think of them as elemental puppet masters, essentially, which is a very cool dynamic and is really explored in both games.
So one of the key design elements, as we had mentioned when we were discussing the creation of the Sorcerer Kings, was bringing to life a more fantastic take on Conquest. Until now, you have seen very grim, gritty. We've tried to portray as realistic a version of fantasy as you can have. The Sorcerer Kings start introducing and open the door for the more esoteric of these events, of these parts of the world. And this is one of the key aspects that you're going to see playing again in the higher rituals, in the fantastic troop types that you can just see the beginning of the golds here. Daryl, can you by any chance eliminate the faces on your screen and possibly maximize the presenting screen?
I think hiding the chat will help, possibly, Daryl.
Oh, you can see the chat?
Yep.
Oh, you weren't supposed to. It's supposed to be just that window. Sorry.
No, we're seeing your entire screen.
Oh, that's weird. That's not supposed to be that way. You're supposed to only see the catalog. All right, bear with me 1 second. Hold, please. I'm selecting window, not screen. That is very strange. All right, bear with me. I'll try to figure out why it's doing that delightfulness. Thomas, you have a question while I'm figuring this out.
Yeah, I was wondering, will the miniatures be distinct by which subfaction they belong to? Like, are the sorcerers or sorceresses, are they part of the elemental courts or the enclaves?
So the all sorcerers, Maharajas, belong to to one of the courts. As Leo mentioned, there are two courts that are currently represented in the world, and that's the Court of Wind and the Court of Fire. That is because they are let's call them, not necessarily the most not necessarily expansionistic, but the most outward and the most inquisitive. Mm-hmm. Water and earth. Earth is more conservative. It has stayed in their home continent. and water is the diplomat, and in order to maintain the balance of power, has sided with Earth. So you are going to start seeing Earth and fire and air, but they will eventually expand into obviously water and earth as well. And this is represented.
Disco hits, and we'll be doing earth, wind, and fire as one single elemental group.
Is this Daryl doing Avatar references? Did this happen?
Yeah. Daryl, can you scroll down on the goals a little bit?
I can. Everyone mostly is telling me they're only seeing the catalog, so I'm a little confused. I think maybe you have your chat open.
No. I am watching only your. Maybe hold on, because I am watching it through Twitch.
That's weird.
So that lowers it a little bit more, but okay.
I have other pictures too. Hold on, I'm going to show you more pictures.
There we go. So what you're seeing here are the Rajakur infantry, who are basically elite troops of the Sorcerer Kings. Basically, they are the enforcers of the Sorcerer Kings and also their main troop type. Incredibly loyal, incredibly well equipped. And they are basically the backbone of the army because they protect your sorcerers. The other troop type that you're seeing are the ghouls. These are basically beings from the shallow ends of the domain of fire. This is one of the things that we're introducing with the lore, the concept of domains, which is, for lack of a better term, we'll call them planes for now. But as we deepen the lore, you're going to find out exactly what domains are. The Sorcerer Kings have access to the 4 elemental domains: earth, air, fire, and water. The goals are on the very shores of the Sea of Fire, which is the domain of fire. They are almost, in a way, like the scum on the water of the Sea of Fire. Apparently, much like it affected the gods, human belief, human emotion, and human thoughts are also infecting the elemental planes. And now we're showing the Rajakur, not the other guys. But the ghouls are basically the weakest of the elemental beings that have been infected by humanity, and they're these avaricious, aggressive, weak creatures that like preying on those weaker than them, which in the domain of fire is basically nothing, but that's how they can be enticed out into the prime domain. And that's how they are basically used as shock troops and fodder by the Sorcerer Kings. So I noticed the elemental ritual cards will be present in the characters that can use them and can access them. And if you lose them again, they will be duplicated in the command sets.
The army support packs.
The army support packs, thank you.
That way, when you're searching on the eShop, you know how to find them.
Yes. You'd think I'd know the official names of
I too.
products.
They're small.
Oh my God. Sorry, guys. Brain equals.
They're all good.
Me.
That's my job, to make sure we keep on the commerce side of things too.
Yeah, no. So we are very excited to showcase an army with a Middle Eastern and Indian aesthetic, which to date has not really been done in a fantasy game. And I think that so far the artists and the sculptors have nailed the artistic direction.
But wait, there's more. These are my favorites. The Ifrit sword dancers and flamecasters, I think, are just stunning.
Yeah. Born Aflame, as is, it's literally their special rule. Say, tongue-in-cheek pun there. It's you'll find essentially the Ifrit in either one of these versions will become the mainstay of your army, depending of what each the character in each warband selects in terms of rituals and spells. Can I? So can we say a little bit? Let's say, can I throw a little bit of what they may be doing?
Sure.
So, Ifrit flamecasters. I'm only going to say Brass 5, 14 inches torrential fire with the ability to place an infernal marker until the end of the round. If an enemy regiment was a target of a volley action from this regiment, friendly spellcasters targeting that regiment with a spell from the Court of Fire count as having rolled one additional success to cast that spell. So, not too expensive in terms of points. Their stats are kept fairly reasonable, and that is for you to be able to build armies that are beautifully themed out of fire, if you want to go with fire, beautifully themed out of air, if that's what you want to do. So we treat them more as main let's say frontline troops, giving them interesting abilities, but not taking it to the point that they would be considered elite, and therefore you would have to only use a few of them. So I think you will be appreciating the balance, but of course this has to be countered by the bloodlust and of the Ifrit sword dancers, but with a good resolve stat and good enough offensive abilities to make up for it.
Any notes I should be talking about here? I think we're in pretty good shape, so I'm going to keep going to the next group, the Steelheart Djinns and the Windborn Djinns. Another absolutely stunning group.
These are just, they're just like, I think I was just in love with them when I saw them. Board of Air, again, another pun. One of them is range unit, as you will as some of you will notice. In this case, we're going in a different direction, and the Djinn kind of play with a more flowy, high movement, let's say tactical play that the Court of Air is promoting, instead of the more, let's say, in your face aggressive play style of fire. So with the air, we're going in for a little bit more elite, higher movement speeds, longer ranges on their shooting, and a good quality, low but very good quality melee attacks. Of course, as with Infernal branding, you will have similar rules, let's say, like the etheric marker, which is there to help you, project the power of your Court of Air spells further down the battlefield.
And then coming up, the Rakshasa. And I think, I don't know, they're all really beautiful, so it's hard to pick a favorite, but these are super cool. These are your monsters.
Wow.
What to say? So these dual kit monster, the Raksasa Basakura and the Raksasa Ravanar. One being, if this was a blast to put to, I think I'm sure for the artists and for the creative part, but definitely from the rules part as well. When you delve deep into the history, into what these the Raksasas are. These malevolent beings, and you can find, represented by their special rules, one having being arrogance and the other one being hubris. One is there to hunt down and go after enemy characters. It's there to fight them head on, to challenge them to a duel and best them in any way that they can, inspired by the myths of old, the rich history of the Raksasas. And the other is called hubris, going after the same thing, but for monsters, and each one, having their own niche of rules that each different style of combat they prefer engaging the enemy with.
So on addressing one of the key things that came up immediately, which was, where are the tiger heads? There are tiger heads. Genius me added them later. so they weren't ready at the time of showing. But there are definitely feline heads for the Rakshasas as well. There are 2 heads. And there will be now 2 heads on every monster as a matter of principle going forward, as my sales team has repeatedly hammered into me.
Chris, stop! Chris, stop! Chris, stop!
But the Rakshasas are actually very much the opposite of the ghouls. They are basically the demigods of the deep, what's called Sea of Fire. And what is particularly terrifying about them is how on earth human corruption is getting that deep and that powerful that it can affect even beings this strong. And it takes it has subverted the purpose of an entire troop type that I don't know if I can spoil or not. The warrior saints of the Sorcerer Kings, away from their original goal of policing the Sorcerer Kings into attempting to contain these basically rampant demigods that are slowly waking up deep in the elemental domains. So yes, lion heads and evil, bloodthirsty demigods.
Thomas, you have a question?
Yeah, this is a lore question about the Rakshasa. I was wondering, as I'm reading in Project 8 that they've actually affected humans, have interacted with them maybe for some time, and I was wondering, has the Old Dominion, maybe pre-fall, had any dealings with Rakshasa?
I can't actually reveal that yet because it's linked to a couple of very important in-game developments that we want to pace and gate.
Okay, I'll take that as a yes.
Conquest Jesus. Liam, you're up, baby.
Just question from the renders of the models there. I couldn't quite tell the one that has like holding the chain in one hand and the halberd in the other hand. Does that one also have 4 arms, or does that one just have 2 arms?
Yes. No, they both have 4 arms.
Great, thanks.
Hold on, I'll get him back up here for you in a second. My computer just decided to shut down that piece. Johan, while I'm fooling around my computer, please go ahead.
Yeah, I actually have a question. Will there be also characters coming out for in the living world of both the Dominion and City-States?
I didn't catch the key word in that statement.
Me neither. Me neither. I'm a bit stumped.
Can you ask it again, Johan? Johan, did we lose you?
He just asked if there was going to be characters in the living world for Old Dominion and City-States.
Yes.
Yes, but the format now in the living world, if you've noticed, has changed. It doesn't focus around specific characters and follows exclusively them, but it has more of a short story approach. So yes, there will be stories that involve both those factions with obvious characters standing out from them, but it's not going to be character focused the way it was during the first large period of the living world, the one we call Book 1 of the living world.
And I want to note too, as I bring up the next faction to be shown, that this is not all of the Sorcerer Kings for 2024. This is the Sorcerer Kings for March and April. Just March and April that we just showed you. So, yeah, baby.
That's a very exciting photo you're showing, Daryl.
It is a very exciting photo. Let me make it larger.
It is.
So with the coming of City-State Scorpios and Flowable, we are introducing essentially what many of you are correctly saying, the whole basis for chariots. So chariot is its own unique, let's say, type. Now, mechanically, it does not create much confusion. Let's say, doesn't have a lot of implications when it comes to play. It will be clarified to make sure that everything is clear. And Ben White, no more 2-stand or minimal facing. Well, actually, this is considered a 1-stand. And this is one of the things that we're going to be making sure it's very clear. Essentially, consider it being, let's say, as if it was a monster, but essentially it has a rectangular base. So that's the difference with a few other rules to fully clarify its interactions. Other than that, it is a new troop type, and for the first time, you'll see, instead of cavalry brutes, you will be finding a chariot.
So the logic here is that the level to deploy a Scorpios or a Flogovolon was beyond the means of most armies and most city-states because the design specifications are so exacting. So, and the individual pieces were so expensive. So what one city-state in particular tried was enticing the merchant houses to participate and create a sort of and they started a contest between the merchant houses over who would have the most impressive war machine. And they started competing on basically every front. How well equipped the rider is, what the chassis looks like, and what, how precise the machinery, and how they started funding the entire thing egregiously and over the top until some smart Alec had the idea of putting lions on top of it to top the other guy who had, horses. And eventually, of course, everybody had to have lion chariots, and, lion chariots with, sculpted chassis and death dealing machines on top, all pleasantly funded by the merchants of a city trying to show off against each other.
You're up. Question time. You're going to unmute. A catalog to answer that question will be posted shortly.
So Jorge, you're muted.
But you're muted. But there we go.
Okay, here we are. Thank you very much. So I was curious. So is it a single model minimum?
So yeah, the way that it's going to be played is that you can add to a regiment of these, but you're going to find changes to the army list to include the new type. Currently, it doesn't say that it is because it's we showed it for the first time here, right? But you're going to find that it's a chariot, and one of the things that come with the chariots is not that mechanically are very different in how they play, but the difference is that you can have one and you can add more. So it's the first time that you have a single stand, because regardless, you see two cavalry bases there, but for the purposes of a chariot, this is defined as one stand. So this is the first one stand model that is not a monster and can take more than one with it. Essentially, if you have, let's say, 3 chariots, you are looking at the same footprint as 6 stands of, let's say, anything else, right? So,
okay, and for First Blood, is the same situation.
For First Blood, yeah, it would be the same. It will play similarly. In First Blood, yeah, you will be able to add. Although in First Blood, for this particular one, you might be more incentivized to use them in once.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Amazing job.
Thank you.
But we're not done, because the Spires need some new stuff. Hopefully you can see it on the screen by now. I know there's a bit of a delay. Once I go to full screen, I can't see you. So you guys have to talk, because I can't tell when it posts or doesn't post. I can't see my own screen.
I love it.
Oh, good. So you can see it. Hurrah.
So, yeah, here you see it. Leo 9 Avatara and Desolation drones.
Oh, whoa.
I love those little desolation drones. They're so good.
That went really fast. Sorry about that. I don't know why the screen went crazy. We don't have pictures for it. The Lineage Highborn is actually going to be called the Lineage Prideborn. And that was a fun little time we had there. on this. And Leo, maybe you want to talk about how the lineage Prideborn is going to differ from the Highborn.
So I think Spire players, as we have been going through updates for the Spires, you would have noticed in the past that we have been increasingly, let's say, added ways to customize your characters, to take, let's say, lineage Highborns or High Clone Executors and turn them, let's say, into and equip them in ways that would more closely resemble other regiments. And one of the, let's say, was the lineage Highborn, with all of these, different upgrades that would make them into a range variant. But then, of course, the next step that we really wanted to show and portray is that you have your typical lineage Highborn modeled after the Avatara, and now you have your lineage Highborn that is there to fight alongside and with the Leonine Avatara. Fast, range support, it is there to take the playstyle of the Leonine Avatara and just allow you to have a beautiful lineage Highborn fighting alongside them with their own unique special rule and abilities, bolstering them.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting piece. I have not seen it yet. Probably someone in the office has. Savro, you've seen it, right?
Yes, expect an Egyptian twist to it.
Whoa. All right, you heard that here first.
No, it's fascinating. So the concept behind the Prideborn is that some lineage elders become so jaded with the senseless slaughter of inferior races on the battlefield while they're in there in an impervious Avatara suit, that they started looking for a different way to entertain themselves. And one of the most popular ways has been to basically turn it from slaughter into a hunt, and to feel the thrill of the hunt, and to almost eschew the senseless aggression for like finesse and how well you execute the takedown rather than the sheer number of takedowns. And this mentality obviously propagated among the lower ranks and led to the rise of the Leonine Avatara as a whole.
That's going to be an exciting spring for Spires as well. We've obviously kicked it off with the Siegebreaker, and then the A-Bomb coming this month, the Leonine Avatara, the Prideborn, and the Desolation drones are going to make it a very, very exciting spring for everyone. And then we have, you'll see there, and I know we aren't really talking too much about it yet, but that will be a surprise for people, the 5th anniversary art prints. Those are going to debut. The first one will debut at Adepticon, so we'll have them out in March. And we'll talk more about those on the next happy hour, but I want you to be aware that indeed they're coming. And then 2-player starter sets. We are going to have, and you'll see them shortly, City States versus Sorcerer Kings will come up as a 2-player starter set in May. And the reason we're doing that is we want to make sure that the 1-player Sorcerer Kings set and the 2-player, both for City States and Sorcerer Kings, is very different in makeup, so that they could work together. So you will see more about both of those coming shortly. Whoa, what is it doing to me? The Army Support Pack Wave 5, you guys all know what they are. They're an update. Your old ones are not outdated. They're just, there's new stuff to add, so we're adding it. You don't have to buy new ones, but we want them to be available in case your dog ate your certain command cards or what have you. That happens more than, I cannot believe from watching the customer service emails, how many of you write in that your dogs have eaten the command cards. It's staggering. So you guys are going to have to keep these away from your dogs or come up with new answers or new excuses for trying to get replacements, one or the other.
Okay, Daryl?
Yes.
I will say that is true. Within 30 seconds of me getting, I think it was my Avatara. Yeah. I set it on the table. I take them out. I'm like, these are awesome. And I turn, and my dog, a corgi, has gotten up on the table to murder my command card. So they're not lying. It does happen.
You all owe Hunter for when the next time you write,
Stop making your command cards taste like bacon.
So we are bringing back a 5th anniversary edition of T-shirts, and I know you're going to say, but what about the new factions? Don't worry, we've got plans for you. But these first 5 are going to be out in February. We are working. We're working on a few tweaks to these still. You'll see, of course, the 5th anniversary logo on the neck, on the back, and there's a couple things that we are working on to shake them up just a tiny bit more. So that's why it says final product may vary. But we want to confirm that the T-shirt producer will make them look as kick-ass as the originals do with a little tweak. So these are going to be available one time only. Again, all of our T-shirts we make literally one time. So if you want to make sure that you get this faction you want and the size that you want, you got to order it in advance. Pre-order it. They're all $29.99, and the sizes go from medium to triple XL. And then the OP kits are coming in January as well. We did talk about those last time, but since we have Road to Chios, it really feels appropriate to bring it up again and talk about it, because these are going to be the best ways for you to participate at events officially. And you can see we've really made the 5th anniversary ones killer. So for season 3, I don't think there's any question that it's an amazing set of prize support, and just play with them and use them and have fun, please. And Tasso has just let me know that all of these fine items are available for sale now on the eShop. So for those of you who have offered to sell your soul or your child or your dog or whatever it is that I've seen on the chat, they are all now live on the eShop, including our new 5th anniversary supercharged one-player starters, with the one exception of the Sorcerer Kings version of these, which will come in March. So you will see all of the different makeups. These are very different than the one-player starters that we had before, and purposely built that way so that if as a retailer you still have a couple of the one-player starters left on your shelf, these are going to complement, not replace. And you can see how interesting each one of them is and how true to the faction each one of them is.
And we actually put effort into making them both thematic and playable. Not merely an attempt to offload. No, be good, Stavro. I'll be good. But yeah, no, a lot of
the dark days are over, as Florence and the Machine sings.
And also notice they are larger in terms of they're packed.
Yeah, you're getting an extra unit, kids. So these are going to be $159.99 for $10. We're giving you an extra unit from what you're used to, but don't answer yet. We're giving you a 5th anniversary decal, cool in itself, a 5th anniversary measuring tool, hello, and it's made of wood, and you can insert your own joke there. And last, there is a Conquest foldable paper map. So, Mike, am I missing anything, Maria?
No, that's it.
Oh, and of course, all the command cards and bases and stands that you need to play the game. Quick start guide to both games, First Blood and TLAOK in all of these. Path of Conquest in both of these. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, like, it's insane what we put into this. And then lastly, because we've talked about it a lot, and did I note that it's free? Because I think it says free there somewhere. It's free, and it's fun. My two of my 3 favorite F words. The other one I'm not supposed to say on this. I've been told not to.
This is really a non-PC happy hour, Daryl.
We said we'd do a drunken happy hour. We haven't quite got there yet, but someday we will. But yeah, I mean, look, the app becomes more and more important every single month that you work with us and you play with us on Conquest. And by the way, I wasn't the one who talked. Never mind. This app has been. I mean, you got to give Sonus points for what he's built here. It's amazing. And Leo, I mean, there's been so many things added to it over the last couple months. You have a better handle on it than I do. Tell them what they've won.
Okay, so the app keeps growing and growing and growing. And first of all, thank you for a lot of your feedback. If you're part of our Conquest community, and I suggest that you'll always be able to also find a live update log of everything that comes up with the app. But most importantly, first of all, there is the brand new World Tour functionality for those with the accounts that could use it. There is a brand new tournament. There are updates to the way that we organize tournaments. For those of you that don't know it, there is a function that you can simply scan players to register them at the event. You no longer have to actually type in their PIN numbers. So when you are exporting a list from your app, it also exports a QR code that you can use to register players. There is narrative play that you can use and build your narrative forces, and of course, I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a lot of stuff coming from the narrative side as well. And of course, there's always your ability to browse the app. So it's just we keep expanding it, we keep putting more, and we thank you for all the feedback. And we make sure you download it, because that's the way that you participate in world events and casual events. Make sure to have it. Make sure you have a Living World account and get all that incredibly fun and free things for you to use.
And you slapped with only 2 of my 3 favorite Fs. Thank you, Leo. You're so good.
I've seen a number of questions that I sort of want to answer. Number one, regarding the rules update, there is going to be a rules update coming up, which will incorporate, as Leo said, a number of comprehensive changes to the game around characters, their activation, as well as introducing chariots and a number of other updates necessary for the upcoming armies. The second big bit of news that I wanted to announce is that we have finally separated rules development of First Blood and TLA OK. We are letting Leo breathe. And as a result, you guys can expect a much steadier release schedule for updates to First Blood. We're already in the process of analyzing the parts of the game that we can improve and balance. So you're going to see big changes coming to First Blood in the following months. Let me see. What else did I miss?
I'm going to jump in for a moment and say my incredible gratitude to everyone who has, while we've been on this call, and you probably see me going, what? You crashed the eShop on us. Bless you, you fine, beautiful people. It is back and loading, but I am so grateful to you for jumping in and looking at all these things. And Maria and I are having a heart attack, but secretly I'm also loving the hell out of it. So just huge thanks, huge props.
Yeah, I just want to say, especially regarding rules design and game design. As you might have seen, one of the things that we've always done is that if we felt that a certain approach to game design had to be, let's say, if we had to make a systemic change for something, you've seen it, let's say, with the wounds per model going into the wounds per stand, how we went into and fixed it systemically. And I think that this is the same approach that we have when it comes to anything. And people have been asking, for more content, more quality, more balancing, let's say, updates for First Blood. And it was very important to restructure the way in which we were approaching First Blood design to really allow it to breathe and become its own game. So now, we've said many times how we want, First Blood to be part of the World 2 series. We said all these things about how First Blood, we want it to be prominent in its own game, balanced and thriving. And the new systems that we're making, the new, let's say, changes that we're making internally will allow us to deliver these things. So, First Blood players, you have waited long enough. And I think, and by the way, this was the third favorite Word of Darrow. It's First Blood. I know what you're all thinking, but it was First Blood.
All right. JJ has had his hand up the longest, so I think I need to call on him before he loses feeling in his right hand.
Thank you for that. Quick question in regards to the one-player starter box. Just for my own clarity, these are going to be a limited release, one time only, to supplement, correct?
No, sorry. Should have clarified that the T-shirts are a one-time only release. The 5th anniversary starters will be available throughout our 5th anniversary, and they are replacing, even though they augment nicely, the current one-player starters, which are now retired.
Okay, thank you.
Great question. Yeah, no, I should have made that more clear. Thank you. Liam, sir, please return to the screen.
Yeah, I have also have a question about the starter sets. The 2-player city-state Sorcerer Kings one, is that going to have alternate resin character models like the Nords versus city-state one does? And also the infantry kits that are coming with the Sorcerer Kings starter set, are those dual kits or just the one unit?
So I'll start with the limited edition preview Sorcerer that we're making one time will be in the first 1,000 of the 2-player starter sets. That will be, after February, the only place you can get that one. Is that where you have your eyebrows up? You did know that, right? You looked like, I think I surprised you with one.
Yes, I clearly knew that. Of course.
I surprised him.
Yes, of course.
That is so awesome. And then the second piece is the first 2 Sorcerer Kings sets are not dual kits. NOT, not dual kits.
Oh yeah, no, they're not dual kits. They are. You will notice numbers of them that they're double there. The reason is that you're going to need multiple of both the goals, because they're going to be the function of your lights, throwaway units, push up the battle line, and your Rajakur, because you need units to hold your sorcerer safe. So both of these are very useful units. That's why they're doubled, not because they're dual kits.
Will there be like dual kits down the line in the future, potentially, like with some of the other factions where they start off as one?
In fairness, the Ifrit are dual kits, so
yeah,
right.
The Ifrit and the Ifrit and the Jinn are dual kit. I will be honest, now that we have a broader base of miniatures for players to select from, I am starting to lean away from dual kits unless they fit together beautifully, because you have to make compromises either in the posing or on the level of the troop, on the mostly on the poses, but very sometimes also on the creativity that you can explore in a troop type when you make it a dual kit. So now that we've reached a certain critical mass of models and players have decent selections from the existing troops and different armies, I want to start leaning away from dual kits. I'm not saying get rid of them entirely, because they are a nice way to bulk up an army early. But we're going to be using them much more carefully and with a lot more premeditation than before.
Gotcha. Thanks for clarifying.
Thank you. Thomas.
Yes, a quick question. I was wondering, when will the world map expand to show the territory of the Sorcerer Kings? And there are probably other areas that might be ready to show. I see Daryl grinning.
You're so good, Thomas. It's like I paid you to say that, and yet I didn't.
So much like the one-player starters that will include the map of Electria or Sutoria, whichever name you prefer for the main continent. The Sorcerer Kings will also include a map for the realm of the Sorcerer Kings. And yeah, no, there has been a lot of pinning down elusive continental masses going on recently over in the writing department in general. So I'm not allowed to talk about that. Daryl's looking at me eagle-eyed. I can tell. I'm like, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. I'm just gonna.
Well, we have to give them something on the next one. I mean, otherwise, they won't tune in if we tell them everything.
Yes, there's a certain place I'm looking at that I'm sure Stavros doesn't want me to mention.
There are many places. There are many, many places, but it's going to be this is an interesting year. I notice a lot of people mentioning Duerom. Believe me, you are going to be very happy when the Duerom releases are announced, and they're not far away.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna be happy and surprised.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming. This is only taking us through May, gang. So do know that we still have many, and we have things coming between now and May that we haven't showed you yet either. So there's a lot of stuff that we're working on, which is really exciting. Julio.
Hello there. So there's a lot of stuff that will get us through May, but can we get a little spoiler about the third Asian guy of the OP kit, or shall we wait
I was wondering when that
June?
would come up. I was wondering when that would
the answer
come
is
up.
no.
Please,
What about
please
Bill?
give some.
I've seen comments about a half giant and this and that, and I'm like, huh, really? That's going to be it? Like, that's a pretty big tease, and that's it?
That's it. Tune in next week.
To be fair,
wait
no one
next
has
week
asked
to
about
learn
your
about Bill.
background either, Stavro. No one has asked about your background image either.
No, because they've seen.
I put several comments in the chat.
He did. A lot of people have been chatting about it for sure. There is a question about the official terrain. That will arrive in April, so it is coming. We will actually be able to show it to people at Adepticon. So we're excited about that. That is coming in April. That I teased it last time, and I can certainly tease it again. For those of you
one key bit of information regarding the terrain: it is an STL program. In other words, these files will be available for sale online, digital. You're going to be able to print them yourselves. I know some people will be thrilled with this. I know some people will be unhappy with this. It's just one of the realities that we have to face with terrain. It is a nightmare.
And we are working with people who can print them for you. So don't panic if you don't have
easy access to a printer.
Easy access to a digital printer. We're going to work with a couple people who do cast things. And you'll just order them directly from them as third party. We won't be part of it. You just
casting and FDM printing. The one thing to note about the 100 Kingdoms is that the terrain is fully modular. In other words, it's a sort of a mix and match. And the parts that you see there all fit between each other and basically make up to a dozen different structures. We stopped counting after a while. And then there is a Duerom terrain pack. Do you have that, Daryl?
I'm bringing that one up next.
May I?
Please.
So another question, not OP related, OP kit related. I was wondering, both for TLA, OK, and First Blood, whether you're going to provide more, let's say, narrative campaigns without not only the scenario pack, that's the not tournament pack, let's say for fun, more casual play. Are you going to provide during this year something more
can I Daryl,
hardcore campaign related?
Daryl putting people in the audience. I'm convinced.
Are we? Well, I mean, it's coming in April. We were going to save that for the next one, but what the hell?
So yes,
everybody who got jumped off early because they thought they saw everything are going to be upset now. I love that.
Yeah, there is going to be a scenario campaign, which is going to complement the terrain packs that come out. So the first scenario is going to be 100 Kingdoms versus Duerom.
Who knew?
And what you are going to see there is our compromise on the issue of special characters and named characters. We will create special named characters with rules available only for narrative play by players who want to play more narrative battles. These characters will be represented in the packs. They will come with 2 characters each. And it will be a sequence of scenarios that culminate in a final battle. And as the scenarios come out, we will link it to a Living World campaign, and people will be able to vote on what actually happened during that scenario.
And I assume for the more competitively minded players, we can just use those as alt sculpts for
absolutely
other
yes,
characters.
of course. Yes. So the first scenario is going to be the Battle of the Stone Faces. And it is Eric Schur against the Stone King.
And that is for retailers on the call, and I know there are quite a few of you, that is on the order form, which should have arrived in your inbox while we were on the call. So, and as did the links to the catalog that you just saw.
So I thought I was clear, so I will say it again. Yes, there will be special models for these characters. Not for all the characters mentioned and outlined in the campaign packs, for the main ones. We have to contain the costs of the pack somehow.
Also, yes, Alan, that one.
Thank you for your kind answers, and I think it's going to be a great year for Conquest. So really, great job, guys.
Thank
great.
you so much. Thank you so much, Wadroon King. Wadroon King.
he only answers by Judge Worm. That's his Wadroon King.
Damn it, Jeff.
Is one of his lesser known names.
Did you just hit the button by mistake? You were hoping I would come by and give you peanuts? All right, Jeff, put your hand down.
In the chat, but I guess I'll talk to you guys for a second. Okay,
well, you raised your hand.
Wild idea of having Scions of Conquest and Chosen of War. Can there be Warbred Scion of Conquest?
Wouldn't it be so much more interesting to have Warbred Chosen of War?
I'm just they're brutes.
Or Scions of War. Let's put it this way. Sorry, Scions of War.
That would also be really cool.
All right, you guys can. I'm gonna just shut you both down right now. this is gonna go into a level of detail and nerddom that I'm even drawing the line at for what is obviously a very nerdy happy hour, but drawing the line there.
Paul, we have to do a lore happy hour at some point.
Paul, we will. We're not planning to do plastic alternatives to the Artisan series at this time. There obviously has been a Mountain Yachtner in plastic. But we don't have a plan to do the Sea Yachtner at this time. No, sorry.
Oh God, yes, guys. The level of nightmare that it is converting an existing resin piece, let alone a resin piece from Contraro, into plastic, is indescribable. I'm getting a headache just thinking about it. Yep. So it doesn't exist as an option yet. It's a direction we want to move as a company. So that the resin becomes purely optional for those who want alternatives, and everything is in plastic. But frankly, we've got to find the sculptors and train them up to get there. You'd be shocked at how long it takes to learn how to sculpt and prepare these miniatures. So we're moving in that direction, and we're hoping. But, don't forget, we really are like the scrappy underdog in this scenario. I love that I'm compared and contrasted to Games Workshop, but they're like a $5 billion company, guys. That's a lot of zeros.
JJ, you've had your hand up. Go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. Couple of questions, if I may. So I know we're getting we're going to be getting those new narrative events, the new narrative characters. It will be set in there, and we have the narrative packs that are coming out. Will the release of those characters affect that narrative pack, or vice versa?
Those characters who are part of that narrative pack. I think I'm answering your question.
Maybe I just misunderstood the narrative pack then. No, I'm on board with that. Thank you. The second thing is I would like my peanut now.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry. The flight attendant's busy. Carlos, you're up.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a couple questions too. First, you mentioned about we're going to have a balance for the last argument of King and First Blood when the Sorcerer King appears. So it's gonna be like a new edition or 2.5.
No. We're getting rid of the 2.5 and the point, because while people get it in video games, apparently it fries their brains in. It will merely be a substantial errata and update to the rules.
Okay, perfect. And the second one is, Daryl, you didn't answer my question. How many souls do you need for a chariot? I'm willing to pay for them. I'm willing to bring them to an altar in Athens just for have my chariot with me.
Their low soul price of $69.99. Jordan, you're next, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to say everything that has been shown today has been incredible. Everything you guys have gone through has been awesome. I'm going to do the thing though that I do every time. Weaver Courts when? Because remember in the Discord I said I will cosplay as a Weaver's Court the first tournament that they're available at.
Start working on that costume. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, you're gonna see something fun.
All right. Oh, goodness. All right. Gwendol, you're up next.
Hello. Happy birthday, by the way, because 5 years. Wow, what a trip.
Thank you.
So 2 questions. When will we have the rules update for Old Dominion, Woodrune, 100 Kingdoms? Do we have a date already?
Leo, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, we're planning all of that for the February 8th happy hour, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
All right.
This, by the way, just to clarify, we want the First Blood update to be very comprehensive, so it is not going to be along the TLAOK.
All right. And another question. I'm going to ask the age-old question. Where is the 100K monster?
In my nightmares, haunting my nightmares. That's where it is.
Obviously. Thank you very much.
Any true 100 Kingdoms player knows they come in packs of 3. They're called Ash and Dawn.
There you go, baby.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hunter.
If you disagree with me, have 3 of them fight your monster, and they'll probably win.
Yeah.
And I know I said something earlier as a bit of a joke about ejecting people from Chios. That was not meant as a tease. So just to make sure we're all clear about that. As soon as I said it out of my mouth, the chat lit up. I'm like, oh my goodness.
100 Kingdom Trebuchet confirmed.
Jordan, you have another question, sir? Or maybe you forgot to put your hand down. All right. I think not. All right. I think that is the end of our happy hour. It has been a very long one, a super amazing support from all of you. Thank you. I want to just remind everybody quickly that we have some events coming up. We'll be at LVO, Stavro and Yanni, and Joey will be there next weekend. Hard to believe, but we're coming. CanCon is the week after in Australia, and I'm going there to see all of our friends down under. I'm super excited about that. Retailers, I'll be also in Nuremberg at Toy Fair with Christoph the week after that. So that's coming up. Bam, bam, bam. 3 weeks in a row, 3 big events. We take another week, and then Hunter and I will be up at Captain Con in Rhode Island for one of the official world events. Then Christoph, I won't be there, but we don't have a tournament there, but we have Con coming up. And then we have the retailer event Gamma that Hunter and I will both be at, and then Adepticon, where I think just about everybody will be at. So a lot of stuff coming up in the first quarter of this year. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 events in 12 weeks. Only 10 of them left. So holy mackerel, we'll be out and about. We want to see you there. So if you're anywhere near those areas, please join us. We love seeing you. We love seeing you here, but we love seeing you more in person. JJ, you thought of a question at the last second.
I did. I apologize. Do you have all the list of where you're going to be? Would you mind posting that somewhere?
Oh, it's on our website.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, no worries. I just thought it's always nice to run down in voice, But thanks, everybody. We really appreciate you. We're super excited for 24, and your feedback has been amazing during all of these calls, but this one in particular. You're so kind, and we're so grateful. So I wish you all. Oh, Stavro has something else to add.
Yes, I see a number of people asking questions about ARM.
You do?
Yes, we've sorted that out. Have we not announced it? Is that something?
We have not announced that. That's going to be on the February 8th as well.
Okay, so that is sorted, though. Good. I am not.
It's in the process of being sorted, completed.
Mostly. It's just the practical realities of our great ideas that have to be worked out.
Yeah, well, exactly right. And as to what happened to Hell, there's so many jokes that can be made. But with that note, we will leave you all in good spirit and see you soon. February 8th.
Looking forward to a cosplayer of that, too.
100%. Bye, everybody.
See you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.